With regards to my dad's death, some of you have polygamous families and some of you have monogamous families. But the story of the Olunloyo family did not start with Ronke. We've had, problems with my mom and her sister-in-laws. We have problems with so many issues, and my father was part of it, and my grandmother. My late grandmother, Alaja Bintu Tejimola Olunloyo, I lived with her for about 2 or 3 years just to get to school on time because I had asthma. My mom and Elijah didn't get along. There was just so much going on in that whole family unit stuff. When they brought Binga to our house, Binga was born outside the marriage. Binga was born the same year my mother was pregnant with me, and my dad had another affair. And that woman, Mrs. Akere, took care of her son and left him in a village kind of area. So it was when we were 12, Binga was 12, I was 12, that they brought Binga to UI to come and live with us. For me, as the second born, meeting someone that's supposedly born the same year and born outside, I did not really take to Binga very easily. You know what I mean? Today, both of us are 60. And this is the history of Kapoor. You hear these rumors. Nobody can tell these stories. I'm the only one. When we were growing up, there were arguments, there were fights and all, but he was coming from a very illiterate background. He was living with his grandmother in one of the small villages. And when they brought him in, the goal was to integrate him with all of us. And Binga would join us in school, staff school, Aberdeen, all the schools were in UI. And his mother was married to somebody else. Mrs. Akiri was married to one Elijah Akiri, and she had other children on that side. And I don't know why, but my dad will take us to go to Mrs. Akiri's house to go play with them. In other words, all of us in our family, my sisters, Shola, my brother, all of us would go there, and then we'll come home. We're just kids, right? But something wasn't right, because Mrs. Akiri was still there. That's what I saw. And I don't know why my mom took this and allowed it. If we say allow, there were times when my grandmother, Elijah, was controlling my mom. She just has to do what they tell her to do. My mom had my brother Ayobami and in 1977, and my grandmother on the mother's side had to come and live with us to take care of the baby. When Daddy got his appointment with Obasanjo, and we had to move to Lagos, NSTDA, National Science and Technology Development Agency. When my dad got that job, what happened was we now decided that we wanted to go to Lagos. We love going to Lagos. All the kids in the cars, 2 cars, government cars, FGN and CVU number plates, and we just go to Lagos a lot. We would stay in Federal Palace Hotel in the top suite, the penthouse suite, and it became like our house there. President Obasanjo was the head of state, and Daddy was working for him. And NSTDA would be like Ministry of Science and Technology now. So we would just go and have fun. We loved the beach and things. So on this one fateful time, my auntie Ore Olunloyo, and her family were doing a wedding. Auntie Ore was married to my late Uncle Femi, and Auntie Ore, most of you know Auntie Ore, she writes children's books. You have seen her name on books and stuff. So the George family, that's her maiden name, Ore George. The George family were having a wedding, so we were all going to that wedding. And they took all of us, the kids. After we were settling down in Lagos, so off to Federal Palace Hotel, penthouse suites, everything. When all of a sudden, we were supposed to leave at 10 a.m. in the morning. My mother cooked all the food, and she put all the food in the car, pots of efo, pots of omiobe, just different things we're going to eat and things. And we were excited, we were ready. And Daddy left the house and told Mommy he'll be back by 12 noon, and we'll start going on the express to Lagos. My dad did not come back till 7 p.m. He said he was going to the office. There were no cell phones. The landlines, you can only use it to call the office, and if no one's speaking in the office, then we didn't know where Dad was. Dad came in at 6:37, and my mom said we should not go. It's too late. In those days, 1978, armed robbers were on the roads too, but not as bad. But at night, it's not good to travel with all the children and stuff. We'll be tired. By the time we get to Lagos, Daddy said, let's go, let's go. When we left, the driver got in the cars, two drivers. I was in the CVU in front. Green, army green car. That was the government official cars then. They have CVU plates and FGM plates. I got in there with Tayo. My brother was 8, I was 13, and Daddy. We were in that car. The other car had the other children. My brother, Ayobami, most of you know Ayobami. He's a pastor at Redeem, and he's a Cambridge graduate, engineer, name it. Very brilliant. Ayobami was a baby, so he didn't go with us. With Mama in the house and the house girl. So we now all got in the car, Yemi, Binga, Shola, everybody else from Kenya, they were all in the second car with my mom. And what happened next will shock you. As we drove through the Ibadan-Lagos Expressway, we arrived in Lagos at 7 p.m., 7:30, and as we drove right into Ikorodu Road, we were attacked. Throughout the trip, we didn't turn on the radio. In Nigeria at that time, 1978, there were no cell phones or anything, or no internet. But the radio would be the one that would have warned us that there's a riot going on in Ikorodu Road, Ali Moscow riot, with all the students and hoodlums and everybody. Any cars that came in, they were just robbing people, stopping them, burning cars. It was a really violent riot. But the moment they saw our car with the plate CVU and FGN, they smashed through rocks. One of the rocks opened Tayo's head and took half of his brain. As soon as the car stopped, boom, the driver was killed. A rock hit him in the head. He was bleeding. Our driver died that night. I ran out of the burning car. I just saw one person open the tank with a match and struck the man. The car blew up. So Tayo and I were in the car, and the car was burning. A man now came and threw me out of the car, and my head hit the pavement. Bam. And I was unconscious, semi-conscious. And I watched Tayo burning in the car. And that's all I saw. I just saw the car burning, and my brother was sitting there like this. He was already unconscious. Blood was shooting out of his head. And as soon as I came out, all these men just grabbed me. They stripped me naked, and they all put their hands in my vagina. They molested me to the point that I was bleeding. I had tears in my vagina. I had 17 stitches at Luth. This is a real story. Stop. This is traumatic for me. Daddy caused this. Daddy caused this. And Mommy told him that we must not leave. He made us leave, and he endangered every single one of us. They were crowd surfing me, throwing me up and down. I was naked, 13 years old. The last time this happened in Lagos, it was a girl in the middle of a protest. This is the reason I don't protest in Nigeria or America or Canada. It is a lifelong trauma because my father made the mistake. What we didn't know is that the driver that took my dad to the office that morning, that it took 8 hours to come home, told my mom, he was dead. He told my mom that they were at Binga's mother's house, Mrs. Akere, a woman that had a child for him. At the same time, my mother was pregnant with me. They were having sex, and they were together all day. They didn't go to the office. Do you think I can forgive my dad for that? Everybody knew that something happened with me, sexually molested. But it was Tokumbo Abodering, Esabod, that turned it into another story, saying my father molested me at 13. And Nigeria picked it up. Nobody investigated. My father didn't molest me. He's never had sex with me. This is what happened in Ikorodu Road. I've told the story myself.